Hey, hey, how y'all doing? This is Mongo Slade, and today we're going to talk about Mustafa Ali taking over Retribution and what this could possibly mean, where this could possibly go, and why this makes sense. And not just, well, you need to tie it to Mustafa Ali being the hacker. Now, in my opinion, this Mustafa Ali storyline could just easily very well be a fallen hero storyline or a sort of a twist on the, if you remember Batman Begins, for those who don't read comic books, maybe you saw the movie Batman Begins. You see Ra's al Ghul or Ras al Ghul or Ra's al Ghul, the villain of the Batman movies. He had what's called the League of Shadows, was this organization of ninjas, we could say, and their job is to destroy corrupt societies. And Ra's al Ghul is not really he's not positioned really as being a villain in the movie as much as he's an anti-hero who it has a different view of the corruption of Gotham than Batman does. And so much that, Ra's al Ghul is a murderer and all this type of stuff too. He is in some ways very villainous. But he wanted to destroy Gotham because of Gotham's corruption. If you take that sort of stance with Mustafa Ali and Retribution and tie it directly into Mustafa Ali's desire to be a hero from a couple years ago, I did the video called the state of Mustafa Ali, where I kind of went through his history into how he veered off into Nowhereville. But if you take that and you say that Mustafa Ali tried being the pure babyface, where he was doing his Green Lantern almost like poems about being the light and standing up for the right people, and he was doing the vignettes where he was showing up behind thugs and stuff like that, running them off, and it didn't really catch on, And then he tried to be the hacker, where he was catching bad guys doing bad guy stuff on SmackDown, and then that was dropped. And he has been trying to do the right thing all this time, but the company is just so corrupt that it has to be destroyed, because he was never given an opportunity to actually be the light that he wanted to be. So he went and recruited some NXT talent, maybe people who were made promises by, you could of course kayfabe the promises and say, and then you could flip it, even more. Because I saw a lot of people say, well, they need to get rid of those names and they need to get rid of those costumes and completely change Retribution or change Mustafa Ali to fit Retribution. And I say, well, no, you don't really need to do that. A better way to do it would be for Mustafa Ali to come out and say, you think you know these people, like you think you know these people, you think you know what they look like, but you don't know them. The names that they gave them, which was, then he just goes through the names, Dio Madden. You think you know this man? You don't know this man. He chooses not to be Theo Madden anymore. He wants to be Mace. That's what he's calling himself. And then you could say, tie it almost like to a Cassius Clay Muhammad Ali thing, where he chose his own name to free himself from what WWE wanted him to be. He wants to be what he wants to be, and this is who he wants to be. And you could just sort of act like, these guys are sort of taking matters into their own hands. And if you play into the whole the WWE dangled brass rings over everybody's head, which is basically just, taking what Miro said a couple of weeks ago, which people popped over. If you take that, add it to the Mustafa Ali character, because it's very real for him, because he was supposed to be in the main event of WrestleMania. He's supposed to wrestle Daniel Bryan for the title, right? Didn't happen because he got hurt. And then he never really got out of the box after that. But if you use that how he constantly put to the side, constantly put to the gutter, how he told he was going around telling people that he was going to be a hero and be a star and all this type of stuff, and it didn't work. And then you could potentially move it that he's not really a heel, that he's just really disappointed and disgusted with how WWE is, and they need a legitimate hero or something to that effect. You could really push this thing very, very much higher, because there are some holes that you have to clear up. Obviously, you have to clear up the SmackDown hacker hole. You have to clear up, how do we know these people? Like, Mia Yim looks like Mia Yim, and Mercedes Martinez looks like Mercedes Martinez. Like, even Shane Thorne even actually admits to being Slapjack on Twitter. And look, let's stop right here, because Retribution has been really, really good on Twitter. They have been really good at owning these characters. They've been playing the roles fantastically. T-Bar, Dominic Dijakovic, has been doing a great job of just owning, like, Chris Jericho and Bischoff and various fans on Twitter. And Retribution only follows each other, so they kind of bounce off each other a lot. And they've been really good at taking pot shots at the company, taking pot shots at other people from other promotions. They've tried to go after Dave LaGreca from Busted Open Radio. Anybody who criticizes the storyline pretty much ends up dealing with one of the members of Retribution on Twitter, and they're really good at really, like, dunking on people. Even Mia Yim, when the Twitch thing came out, Mia Yim put out a tweet. I'm pretty sure it's her, unless it's somebody else who took their names. But I'm pretty sure that a lot of WWE wrestlers now have two Twitter accounts. They kind of have a personal Twitter account and then a character Twitter account, because Mia Yim still has her Twitter account, and which is blue checked and all that type of stuff. And then Reckoning of Retribution has her own Twitter account, where she posts, like, foul language stuff, with people cussing and stuff like that. And she also posted, like, in the light of this Twitch thing, that what do you guys want the food out of our fridge too? And so they've been playing into the storyline. All of them. They've been working really, really hard at owning this storyline and trying to make it work. So you got to give them credit. Like, you got to give them credit for the effort that they're doing, putting over the characters and repeating the message and showing people, like, this is why the company needs to be destroyed. And so they've been doing a really good job. And if you take that, like, this is what they want it to be, this is, their idea. And then it doesn't matter whether you think T-Bar is a stupid name or not. It's the name that they wanted to come up with. It's my name. So it doesn't matter if you think T-Bar is stupid. The company didn't come up with T-Bar. I did. Or he could say Dominic Dijakovic is stupid. Or whatever. Like, that's not even my real name anyway. Or you could just continue going on down that line, where you could just start peeling. I'm pretty sure they're not going to go that deep into it. But you could peel some of the layers off to hide some of the weaknesses of the Retribution storylines thus far. But I really, really like the idea of Mustafa Ali as this frustrated hero who just kind of said, forget it, man. Like, if you're not going to let me help you, I need to forcefully help you. And, of course, blaming the superstars is kind of weird, because, you see that that's kind of part of the storyline, is that the Retribution is blaming the superstars for the corruption of WWE, that they refuse to change things. They fight for change. They can be bought off. They can also be corrupted. And part of that is the Hurt Business. The Hurt Business has been pretty good at being sort of the foils for Retribution. And I know that I want clearly delineated baby faces and heels. I do want that. And I think we should definitely get that. And I'm all for it. But I do have that idea that when you look at superstars where people turning on their friends, for money and fame, that is a Hurt Business thing. Okay. Cedric Alexander did just that. He turned on his friends for money and for fame. And now he's in the Hurt Business, and the Hurt Businesses pride themselves on being sort of selfish and, out for self and all that type of stuff, and beating up people who are not on their side. If Retribution can say, okay, you guys might be heels, but we're heels with virtue, or heels with a code. You can separate these two concepts. They're not just heels and everybody's friends. They find the Hurt Business to be despicable because they corrupt people and because they're sellouts, while they are the virtuous people that the society should see as heroes, but are going to see as villains because they refuse to sell out and play WWE's game and all that type of stuff. If you do that, If you separate those, if you separate them by philosophy in that way, then I think that you could have a good and decent heel versus heel stable. I mean, heel versus heel feud. But that also kind of begs into the question of whether Retribution are really going to stay heel. Because I think if you come out and you start saying things like um, that 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 Retribution uh, have been foiled, or they've been had these brass rings dangled over their heads, and you touch that spot into the fans, you will end up maybe turning them babyface, because people do love the WWE hate. They love that stuff. They eat it up, and that will turn them babyface. That's like when I say before about badasses in wrestling. People tend to love them too. And there was a guy on Twitter. I guess he thought he was being smart. That he was like, that WWE the Thunderdome. He got kicked out by the Thunderdome crew or producer or whatever because he wouldn't boo the Hurt Business, because he's like, oh, they're badasses. And remember, last couple of weeks ago, I said, if the Hurt Business are attacking Retribution and it's coming down to the ring and they're outnumbered and all that type of stuff, they're going to come across as baby faces, and people are going to start cheering them. And it has started happening, but they've been doing this 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 bipolar booking of them, where they're baby faces in this situation with Retribution and their heels against Apollo Crews and Ricochet. Then people are kind of going to be like, okay, well, I like them because they're fighting Retribution. I don't like them because they're beating up Apollo Crews and Ricochet. But then you say, well, I don't really care that much about Apollo Crews and Ricochet. I just like the Hurt Business, so I want to share the Hurt Business. So you do kind of have that situation. So you have to decide, maybe for the purposes of this storyline, the Hurt Businesses are going to end up being good guys. But you could just make them bad guys and kind of make Retribution the good guys. But Retribution has been blowing up stuff, throwing bricks through windows. They've been attacking people at random. And it seems like it's completely it's not anything baby faces would do. But if you say that the target is not really is the WWE and all of the, let's say you could say kiss asses or whatever on the roster, all of those people are the victims, or the people that we want to go after, then you can sort of justify the behavior, because that's what people do. They do bad stuff and then they justify it later. Saying like, oh yeah, well, we have to do this because blah blah blah. Now, for the next couple of minutes, I want to talk about Mustafa Ali and some of the conversation that I saw surrounding him being a part of Retribution. And so when this whole thing started, I kind of pitched the idea of Mustafa Ali maybe being behind Retribution, but I shot it down. It was just something, because you have to look at all the potential options. But I kind of thought that maybe it wouldn't happen because he's a Muslim. He's also a progressive. And Retribution comes across as a spoof of Antifa. So I don't think he would want to be a part of that. For starters, as a Muslim, why would you want to be a part of what's considered mostly a terrorist organization? They're throwing firebombs on stuff, and they're attacking people with bats and clubs and beating up random wrestlers and doing all this type of stuff. And they are, of course, coming on the heels of, real life and Antifa. And considering, I'm pretty sure he goes that way politically, how would he feel about that? But you also have the situation of, since it's not really Antifa, because he's not talking about society at all, he's talking about WWE and specific. He can go that way, and now I'm kind of glad that he's involved. But they kind of toned down a lot of the initial quote unquote terrorism of Retribution. Now they basically just attack people and beat people up, and that's pretty much generic heel stuff, And I want them to kind of have a plan to how they're going to destroy WWE, and maybe that involves, taking down Shane McMahon, or maybe, I was about to say taking Shane McMahon ransom, maybe kidnapping Shane McMahon and hold him in a basement or something. Like, that might be pretty cool, But again, Muslim, probably not going to do that. Probably don't want to have a Muslim guy kidnapping people again, because that's what got Muhammad Hassan taken off TV. Well, it was also the timing of it, but you live and you learn, right? So I really I like this storyline. They're gonna probably end up tying it to Mustafa Ali's previous characters because I mean, it would have so many more layers if you tie it to Mustafa Ali's previous ideals and just say this is a continuance of that, and that this is his sort of League of Shadows where while he had all this time off, he talked to the NXT talent and told them, hey, these people are going to lie to you. They're going to lead you astray. They're never going to allow you to be the star that they say that you're going to be. They told you all of these promises. They made all these promises. It's all lies. The company is full of liars. And he sort of corrupted these people. And not really corrupted them as much as he just did what smarks do. And that he's told them, no matter how hard you work, you're never going to get what you want from the company because they have handpicked talent or blah blah blah. The brass ring isn't real. This company needs to be remade. It needs to be destroyed. And I think that'll be a beautiful thing. That'll be a great storyline. They have to go all the way with it though, and they have to maintain that Mustafa Ali is trying to still be a good person. Now nobody's gonna buy that Mustafa Ali just decided to be a dastardly terrorist heel out of nowhere. You have to show that he's been frustrated and that, he's frustrated in specific with, certain elements within the company. Things things that won't change, that people don't get the right spots, or that he particularly worked for a spot and then he didn't get it. How he was held down and left behind and kept off TV for 7 months and all this type of stuff. Then people can sympathize with him and just see that, okay, he's sort of a flawed hero. Because then he has to eventually go back to being a babyface. Because he was a very natural, good guy babyface. He is very, he's very nice to people on Twitter as much as, he's very tolerant. As far as people on Twitter are concerned, because he takes a lot of abuse on Twitter. He really does. I will say that. Mustafa Ali takes a lot of stuff on Twitter, about people, about his background and him being a police officer, him being Pakistani, him being a Muslim. Somebody called his wife a slave. I was just like, what the hell, man? Like, he deals with a lot of stuff. And so you don't really want to ruin the good nature of the character, except for you could just say that the character is, he's just going down a dark path. This is him being desperate to save and to get attention and to tell everybody that the company itself is evil, and that a lot of these people, all these superstars, a lot of your heroes are sellouts who are willing to sell out their friends for money and fame. But I'm not. I'm here to legitimately help you guys, and I can do that by destroying the WWE. And I think if you can really stay on message like that, it'll be great. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Like this video, share it, and subscribe. And I will talk to you guys later. Peace.